What's up, guys? It's your favorite Kiwi coach, and give me 6 months of your time. I'll give you the best golf swing of your life. So welcome back to the channel, guys. In this particular video, we are going to be talking about the body. Finally, I know I've been talking and preaching a whole lot about the hand movement and the club head movement. You guys are probably getting a little bored, so I'm going to mix it up today, talk about the body. Specifically, we're going to be talking about this motion of the pelvis in transition with the upper body tilting and lowering. So if you're interested in the transition move, the setting motion, you're going to be in for a treat today. So let's go ahead and jump in. But before we get into the video, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, and that is Kiwi Golf Japan. If you're too busy or you just can't make it out to our locations for lessons, Kiwi Golf Japan is the membership site for you. With over 250 plus videos, we have everything on the site you could possibly want. So go ahead and check out that link down below, and now let's jump into the video. So like I said in the intro, today's video, we're going to be talking about the body, but specifically the setting motion. So for you guys at home who don't even really know what the setting motion is, I want to kind of break down the basics around what it is. So setting motion specifically is going to be occurring in transition. And really the main goal, the main reason why we want to have the setting motion is because first off, it's going to allow us to store some energy into the ground, which we can then use later in the golf swing. But then second, if we can get the setting motion done correctly, it's going to get us into a place to where the body, the club head, the hands, everything is in a spot to where we can now actually start to churn, steep in the golf club, and not get underneath the plane. So setting motion is incredibly important for all of those reasons, and this is why we're making a video on it. So before we get into all the particulars of the setting motion, let's go into some common faults that you guys have in transition when it comes to the body specifically. So one of the most common faults I see you guys have is going to be with the pelvis motion here. So if you watch my right pelvis right now, a lot of you guys in transition tend to lift this pelvis up as you rotate quite drastically. And this is going to get the arms trapped behind the body, which ultimately is going to allow you to get the club head below the hands too early, and then kind of get into that early release look, that tilted look, and it's going to be really difficult to hit the golf ball. So by far, that is one of the most common issues I see you guys do. The next common issue I see you guys do, but this is, maybe not so common as the first one, I see you guys in transition really trying to work on a squatting motion. Now, the issue with this is not that you're necessarily doing the overall motion wrong, it's more so you're just doing an excessive amount. So to give you an example of this, a lot of you guys might be trying to have the image of something on the lines of this, right? So if you get that much squatting motion, even though you're doing the particulars probably correct, you're just too low to the ground, which means you're either going to stay there, hit the ball incredibly low, or you're going to have to kind of get up quite a bit, which could be powerful if you time it and you might get more speed, but it's a pretty inconsistent way to hit, especially when we're talking about irons and we're trying to get control. So those would be the two common things I see you guys typically do. You guys are either typically spinners, or you guys kind of know the squat motion, but you're just doing it in excessive amount. So now that we have the common mistakes out of the way, let's start getting into the particulars of this setting motion. All right, so the first motion we're going to talk about when it comes to the setting motion is going to be the whole idea around the right pelvis. So as I swing up to the top of the swing here, there's this little ball that's attached to a socket that really gets this femur bone to attach to the pelvic bone right here. So what we're trying to do with that ball at the top of the swing in transition is we're trying to push that down and back as we start to transition. So if we can push that down and back, that's actually going to tilt the pelvis this way, which is called anterior pelvic tilt, right? Tilting from the front end. And this little motion here is not only going to allow us to store energy into the ground, right? Lower into the ground, but also it's going to allow us to not raise and spin out like we probably are typically doing. So to review that motion is really, really crucial here. I want you to kind of feel out that little space right here, feel that little bone. Try to push that down and back in transition. If you guys can do that, that would be anterior pelvic tilt as well. It's going to be the first motion that allows us to not spin out in transition. So now as you're doing that movement with the pelvis, the next important point to break down is going to be the knee movement. So first off, from this down the line view, as I'm going into that anterior pelvic tilt, it's important to note that both knees are going to go into what's called a reflexing motion, which just simply means top of the swing, the knees are at a certain angle here. They're actually going to reflex in transition or get more bent in transition. Now, to be more particular with that, you're going to actually find that the lead knee, the left knee right here, for me as a right-handed golfer, is going to flex more then the right knee. So I can show you that from the face-on view. It's a little bit easier to see. So from here, as I start to get into anterior pelvic tilt, the left knee right here is reflexing more than this right knee. And that's going to help get the next motion that I want to talk about, which is going to be the left pelvic tilt that you guys all crave about. So when it comes to the knee flex, to go over that one more time, first understand, in transition, both of these are going to be reflexing here, but the left knee should be more bent than the right. And overall, for an iron, most of you guys will probably get this right knee to bend right around 148 degrees, and then the left knee might bend a little bit more than that. That's kind of the basics right there with the knees. I want to get into that left pelvic tilt real quickly, explain a few little myths about it, and then from there we'll move into the upper body. So like we already know, I've talked about this in other videos, a lot of you guys are just in love with this idea of left pelvic tilt. But when we get into left pelvic tilt, there's some important points to understand in the early transition of this. First off, if you start to actually move towards left pelvic tilt before the hands start to drop, that would be too early timing in reel. Now, maybe some of you guys might want to feel that, but for the most part, when it comes to the reel, we want to see the hands actually lowering as we start to move towards left pelvic tilt. That's a really important point. Another important point at the top of the swing, a lot of you guys are under this impression when you first kind of watch my videos or other people's videos that the pelvis should actually be level at the top. And that's actually not true either. So in reel, again, this is not feel, guys, this is real at this point. In reel, the left side of the pelvis will actually be slightly lower than the right at the top of the swing. And then as you move in transition, then you're going to see that left pelvic tilt happen. The last point for this is, a lot of times when you guys do get the left pelvic tilt, you guys get it with rotation. So that is something we absolutely want to avoid in this early setting motion. The setting motion is all about storing energy into the ground with little or minimal rotation at this point. That's a big key point there. So that's kind of the parameters of left pelvic tilt. Now let's get into the upper body. All right, that's it for you guys on YouTube. But before you guys click off, let me give you some quick wrap-up points. So the main and most important point is, when we're doing the setting motion, we are setting ourselves up for the rest of the downswing. So if we're going to be actually raising the pelvis and spinning out, or if we're just getting incredibly low in the downswing, we're going to make it much, much more difficult to actually contact the golf ball the way that we want to contact it. So the setting of motion is really important to connect to the ground, right? To have a good sequence of rotation, good tilts, good front bends, all the stuff we talked about, so that from here, we can now start to open up our body, pull the hands forward, release the club, and do everything that we talked about in other videos as well. So I want you guys to go through this video a few times, really make sure to watch it. If you guys are still struggling, obviously you can join the membership site and watch the full video, or you guys can sign up for our Kiwi Coach 6-month program. We actually have our instructor Hiroshi, who is launching very shortly, so go sign up for his waiting list as well. Other than that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.